Hi, I'm Dan Costa, Editor-in-Chief of PCMag.com, and welcome to a special CES edition of Fast Forward, where we talk about living in the future. My guest today is Rahul Samant. He's the CIO of Delta Airlines, and we're going to talk about in-flight entertainment, we're going to talk about parallel realities, and we're going to talk about free in-flight Wi-Fi.
Woohoo!
All of those things today. Thanks so much for talking to me today.
Thank you,
Rahul.
Dan. Thanks for having us.
So Delta at CES, sort of a new thing. I mean, CES conventionally a big TV show, lately a big car show, now it's going to be a big airline show.
Well,
why is Delta here?
I think we're here because we wanted to put the consumer in C firmly in place. I mean, we do 200 million customers. We serve 200 million customers a year, and there's so many touch points, and it's all about our people, of course, and our culture and the strength of our service culture. But behind it, there is the hand of technology. And our CEO likes to say, second only to our people and our culture, technology is the most important thing. So I know my place, right, in the company. I'm second.
That's pretty good.
But it's a good second to be, and it empowers our people. And there's a piece of our technology that's empowering employees to do better with customers, and then there's a piece that's directly personalizing across the travel ribbon interactions directly with the customer. So it's kind of like everything we do in technology is a two-pronged approach, but it's supplementing what the employees already do, which we think is differentiated, great service, but technology can play a role. Right, so we felt like this was the right stage. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we weren't ready, and now we feel like we've earned the right, and we have a story to tell. And as you saw, many of the innovations aren't like concept cars, right? They're not 10 years out there, they're here and now. So why not come and share it with a wide audience?
Yeah, and it's a range of different technologies, but I want to get to the first news that I saw this morning, which is that Delta's announced that it wants to deliver free in-flight Wi-Fi to all of its customers. Why is this such a hard problem to solve for airlines?
Yeah, so I think there's the commercial problem, right? We do charge for Wi-Fi, but our CEO's gone on record and said, listen, who else charges for Wi-Fi anymore, right? Even
every hotel in Vegas.
Do they? But typically you can walk into a coffee shop and get on their free Wi-Fi. So why are you paying when you already paid for a ticket and a seat? So we want to take the commercial equation off the table. So let's talk about the technology, right? We'll solve the commerce side of it, that we do make some money off it, but we'll solve that. It's the right thing to do for our customers. I think the technology issue we are trying to solve is bandwidth limitation, latency, and if we open it up, we want to open it up and really democratize it. And today it's almost like a perverse business model. The price is high enough that we restrict the number of people that'll buy it, which in turn helps us keep service at an okay level. And of course, we don't own the assets behind the screen, right? We have partners and we have satellites and we have all of that going on. And we're working with them pretty hard to say, guys, we need to improve and open up this channel and make it really broad so that eventually we could stream. We're a far cry away from being able to stream. But to get 300 people on a long haul flight,
at least have email,
all using it the way they want to use it, today technically we're not there yet. So I would take the commercial aspect out, and we're really focused on the technical aspects with multiple providers. We're not locked in to just one provider, although we have one today. We're looking at the market broad.
How long do you think it might take for that
I think
to
it's
happen?
a couple years. I mean, I would hate to get pinned down on this because these problems have a way of, being more gnarly than they sound. It feels simple, and then you open it up and there's more nuances and more wrinkles to it. But we're committed. We have a crack team working on it. The will is strong. The direction and the vision has been set. So I think we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, and we're gonna be the first to get there.
Also seems like you've been making a lot of investments in the the sort of pre-flight experience, before you even get to the airport, before you're in the airplane, just booking the flight and managing your flight and your transportation to the airport. You've spent a lot of time investing in that.
Yeah, we have, and I think, again, it's you have to earn the right to be the digital travel companion or the concierge or the home base app, because there's so many apps there vying for that status, right, on your phone. And why Delta? Because typically the air part of your trip, whether it's leisure or business, is the centerpiece, right? You go book that, then you go book the hotel, then you book your excursions, your car, everything else. And we feel like there's affinity, there's a lot of loyalty that we see with our customers. So why not expand in relevant areas? We don't want to start selling movie tickets, right? But we want to do things that ease the stress of your end-to-end journey. So think about the experience from home to hotel to home. And there's so many pressure points and stress points that we are uniquely qualified to help you solve. And part of it is working with a able partner like Lyft and saying, hey, why don't we share, TSA wait times, traffic patterns are available, right? Weather's available. We know what's happening with the flight. We put all that together and we can tell you, personalize, right, uniquely to you, hey, we think 20 minutes sooner would be better for you to get into the lift. And guess what? It's already waiting for you, right? So instead of a 6 a.m. pickup, we're gonna pick you up at 5:40, or we're gonna pick you up at 7 because we have an unfortunate weather-related hour-long delay. So just relax at home, get that extra hour, and we'll still get you on board on time. So I think there's that. There's food delivery waiting for you when you get off, right? If you're coming back from a Monday to Thursday, you're a road warrior, and there's food waiting for you, right? Hot food, and you just take it home. And so those are things that I think are germane to us serving you end to end. And we're really excited about that. And there's a whole plethora of partners that we're talking to. Lyft is, of course, the first and was the easiest because we were already, in partnership with them, and they're phenomenal. So, our values align, everything's good with them. So we think this is the next natural step.
Excellent. The other thing that got a lot of headlines is this parallel reality that was launched today.
Funny name, right?
It is a very funny name, but everybody knows exactly what it means. Talk about how that enhances the travel experience.
Yeah, so parallel reality, when we talk about our digital transformation, we talk about it in two ways. One is we're gonna empower the employees. We give them better insights and better mobile tools so they can walk around, they can interact, they can show the warmth and caring that they innately feel. The other side of it is, hey, how do we personalize that customer experience, right? End to end. So imagine going into the airport environment, which is maybe one of the last places where you expect uber personalization, and everything in the displays is personalized. And so the way this thing works, the technology is just astounding, right? And it's mind-blowing because you and I are looking at the same screen, same physical display. We're a foot apart, but it knows you and it knows me. And it only knows us by a token that's been associated to you or me. So there's not any personal identifiable information.
It's a token in the app itself.
Yeah,
so
it could be an app, it could be a barcode, it could be your phone, it could be a bag tag, anything that is on your person. But once it's scanned somewhere where you've opted in, once it's scanned, these cameras and this technology, the optical technology, is now following you, and it's going to show you messages on the display boards that are uniquely personalized and relevant to you. So it's not going to show you 50 flights, it's going to show you the flight that you're on, what gate it's going at, maybe directions to the gate, how long it's going to take, is it on time, what's your seat number, all of that. And we think that's imminently doable. So again, not concept car, but in probably second quarter, late second quarter, we'll have it up in Detroit. and people will be able to experience it. And again, it's an opt-in thing. We don't want to freak anyone out, right?
People will freak out.
Yeah, they will, because even, as a hardcore technologist, I'm still looking at it and going, wow, it actually does do this. And if you and I get too close, it genericizes the message, right? And because it doesn't want me to see where you're going, and it doesn't want you to see where I'm going. So if we get uncomfortably close where the angle is now not right, it's just gonna...
Even just knowing where passengers are in the airport.
Yeah.
Because every flight there's one or two people, we're looking for this passenger, we don't know where they are.
Sure.
Theoretically, you could know where they are.
Yeah, you could.
Let them know, like your flight's about to take off, you've got to get there.
The next display, right, as you're passing, because right now the form factor is pretty big, and hopefully you saw it in the booth, but it's like any other technology, right? It's gonna miniaturize over time, and we're betting on that. And so it's going to miniaturize, and the cost curve is going to work to our advantage. And at that point, we should be able to do more of them. Because right now, we're just going to put one big one up in Detroit. And it's a big idea. We're starting small. We're starting in one airport. Want to test it out real life. And hopefully it works, right? And it'll be amazing if it works. And we do a lot of these experiments. And if they don't work, hey, you learned. And it didn't cost a lot. And you move on, right? That's the nature of innovation.
A lot of companies are making a lot investments in AI for both operations and efficiency. It seems like running an airline with all of those logistics and all those issues that are constantly being managed, that'd be an ideal application for AI optimization. Are you guys doing some work in that area?
Absolutely. I mean, great question, because first and foremost, we had to bring the data together, right? So, I mean, that training these models, the amount of data that you feed the model, the better it's going to be in terms of what it can, perform. And so we had to bring data together from across the airline. It was strewn all over. So, legacy is not a great word when it comes to IT. It's a 4-letter word. And so we had to fight the legacy and bring the data together, and now we have it. So we have a look back ops data lake that has hundreds of data points. And so we can run machine learning. We have a machine learning simulation platform now. So all of these variables go in, and you can literally say, this weather pattern's coming tomorrow, simulate what's going to happen, sort of like a digital twin, and give me combinations, give me optimal recommendations for what bank of flights should I delay, or what crew pre-positioning should I do, or where am I going to run lean on crew, therefore I should call in more reserves, right? All of those, eventually there's a person with 3 decades of amazing airline experience that's still going to make a call, but we're now equipping that person with so much more richer, machine-driven insight. Hopefully that just makes their job easier, right? We're not trying to replace that 30-year expertise, but just enrich it.
Yeah, it's an assisted decision-making
absolutely,
process.
Absolutely.
And no matter how much experience you have to manage that much data, it takes more than just gut instinct.
No, absolutely it does. Yeah, and so the more data we're feeding people even on handhelds in the air, one of the things that we get as feedback, and our flight attendants, we have a very good virtuous sort of feedback loop with them. They'll say, hey, it's great what you're putting on, but then also prioritize, if it's a 1-hour flight, what out of these things can I get to?
Oh yeah, right? Different interfaces.
Versus a 3-hour flight, I can get to all of it in a 1-hour flight, safety first, service second, right? I mean, we've got that, and how many of these inputs can I actually, take care of? Because you don't want them to feel like they left something out. Right. We want to make them feel like they won, and we gave them data that made them win with our customers. So it's interesting, right? We're swimming in data, and yet sometimes converting that into actionable insight at the point of contact is not that easy. That's not intuitive. And so we're being very careful with how we do that.
So this is sort of maybe not just a technical question, but how have passengers' expectations changed in terms of the technology experience or just the overall experience in air travel these days?
I think it's changed. I mean, you're a frequent flyer, I'm a frequent flyer, and what was acceptable before the smartphone came into our lives is no longer acceptable, right? Because I get off the plane and in 5 minutes my lift is waiting for me and they know exactly who I am, and they've sent me a code and there's a color code. I mean, and then Waze gets me to where I want. I mean, all that stuff is there, and these are companies that were born like 5, 7, 10 years ago and have a minute amount of data about me compared to what Delta has about my history with them. So I think the expectations are rightfully ratcheting up. And listen, I mean, it's not just the customer expectation, the employee expectations are ratcheting up, because I'm also a consumer of that same technology on the home front. So I'm going, wait a minute, why am I using all this great stuff at home, and then at work, why am I still, sometimes feeling like I'm tethered to something that's old? And so we're kind of this two-track approach, right? We're modernizing legacy, and we're doing digitalization of the business, and you can't do it sequentially. My job would be a lot easier if I could just do modernization first and then come and do digitalization. That's not the reality.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because it's the second time I did an interview with Lenovo earlier today, and we were talking about the two tracks, about trying to serve the customer and give the customer what they want, but also from a business perspective, giving your employees the tools that they need in order to thrive. And in the race for talent, getting the tools you want, premium tools to be productive is the thing that helps you retain employees.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot of businesses don't get that part of it.
No, I agree, and I think the expectation that fits so well with our culture, right? Which is, it's a very people employee. Even at the keynote today, we talked about technology, but we weren't like gadget crazy. We were about, this serves customers, or this serves employees, who in turn serve customers. It's a virtuous cycle, and everything we do is that dimension.
I got to bring up, because just probably 30 feet away from where we're sitting, there's an exoskeleton demo that could be used to help employees lift heavy parts and work on aircraft engines. And I did the arm demo and was able to lift a 50-pound bag like it was nothing. And it's like the perfect example of, this is an enabling technology you're going to put in the hands of your employees for their safety issues, and also to make them more productive.
Yeah, and I think the other angle to that is the diversity angle, right? Just think about today, there's rightly or wrongly some stereotype about who can work that job, because it does involve lifting 50 pounds all day long for 8 hours. And tomorrow that goes away, because now you're going from strength to dexterity, and now the level playing field works, and anyone can do that job. People can keep doing it longer because they love working on the ramp at Delta, but at some point they just go, man, I can't do that anymore. With that exoskeleton, I was doing it yesterday, and I was on my own, and I just kept lifting it like for 5 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with my workout, right? It's 50 pounds, and I felt like it was half a pound?
Yeah, it's a 20x amplification of your strength.
Yeah, it felt like a pound or two, and I was lifting it with 2 fingers, and I'm not like a, heavy built guy. So I think it'll also level. So there's other benefits, safety, injury, all that is of course there. And then you level the playing field, and then people can stay in that job longer. And then other parts of the population that couldn't apply to that job are suddenly now free to apply to the job. So I think it just opens it up.
So I want to ask you some questions I ask everybody that I have on the podcast. Is there a technology trend that keeps you up at night that really concerns you?
Well, I think not, I don't know that it's a trend, but I think if you're a CIO of any company, I don't care how big or small, cyber's got to keep you, awake, because there's all of the opportunity we just talked about. The last 15 minutes was all about opportunity, and then there's this huge downside risk that is an integral part of my job to protect and safeguard, right, from, so that we can then harvest the opportunity. And those two things, I mean, go hand in glove, and I can't do one. I can't chase opportunity and lose track of this. So, we have a CISO very well qualified, and, we stay on top of these things. And it's a cat and mouse game, right? I always say it's the only place where someone's actually trying to bring me down, right? I mean, anything else we do in technology, we self-inflict sometimes. We might put a bad change in, or a vendor provided us something that wasn't truly ready. But this is somewhere where someone's actually actively plotting to get after a big brand. So I think that keeps us awake, but we do everything we can and more to protect our customer, employee information, data, everything. So,
do you have any advice for consumers that are apprehensive about moving into this world of AI and automation and robotics? Any advice for how they can survive?
Well, I think, look, I don't know that it's any different than any other wave, right, of technology-led productivity or automation that came before. And we've just got to, there'll be the early adopters, right, who just want to jump into everything. Then hopefully it'll mainstream, because the technology will become robust enough, the security will be robust enough, and then there'll be some people that are holdouts and may take the longest. And so that's why we believe, I mean, look, there's room for all of those. There's always opt-in and opt-out, right? We do biometrics now at the airports, and I use it all the time, but that's me. And I do see on those international flights in Atlanta, even though it's so simple, right? You just walk up to the camera, you look at it, it shows your face, it gives you a big green check mark, and I walk on board. I don't fish my passport, I don't take my phone, nothing. But there's always one or two people who decide they want to go that way. And it's okay, right? I think there'll be room for that. Over time, though, I think it'll just phase away. I'm sure there were people that resisted having a cell phone initially, and then resisted having a smart cell phone. How many of those can you still find, right? It's just become ubiquitous. So I think it's hard to fight technology when it's doing so much good, but there's going to be adoption, right, that differs.
I confess I'm still a bit of a fan of the paper ticket.
Yeah, oh, are you?
I had a bad experience with my phone running out of battery at the gate.
That's a problem.
It wasn't good. That was a while ago, but it's traumatic. Is there a product or a service or a gadget that you use every day that still inspires wonder?
I think the phone 10 or 12 years hence, and I'm on my 11th version of the iPhone, right? I still am amazed by what that thing can do, right? How much of my life is now running on that. I don't have a landline anymore, right? I rarely, at work, I'll use my laptop, but rarely at home. I don't even have a computer anymore at home. I have an iPad and I have my iPhone, and I'm pretty much running all of my personal and professional life on it, and the productivity apps that are available out there, and it's just incredible. I mean, even as a battle-hardened, so I've been at this 32 years. I don't think my first 25 were anywhere nearly as exciting. I mean, I thought when the internet became, went beyond the tone, the dial tone, and got to broadband, I thought that was cool. And now this happened.
Declare victory.
I was declaring victory in the early 2000s, and then this comes about, 8 or 9 years later. I'm like, wow, So it's just, I mean, that's a wow factor for me even every day.
It's a strange thing too, because I don't think anyone under 25 feels
appreciates that, right?
Because they've never known a world without
the native.
It was just always there.
It's funny you say that, Dan, because I'll get up on to talk to audiences, and I'll say, look, even as an IT guy, I'm a digitally reborn guy, right? Because I'm in my 50s, and my daughters who are in their 20s are digital natives, right? And I'll never lose the reborn label, because I didn't grow up tethered to any of these devices. I grew up tethered to a book, right? And then I had to learn all these other things, and so yeah, it's just awe-inspiring even today for me.
How can people follow what you're doing, follow what Delta's doing, and the innovations that you're releasing?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're getting out more and more. We're feeling confident. We always felt confident about the airline part of what we were doing. You know, we are the number one most operationally reliable airline. Our net promoter scores on customer sat have been just growing. We're north of 50 now, right? All of that we felt good. We had pride in that. Technology, until about 2 or 3 years ago, we felt a little more reticent about, and we're ready now. So there's more tweeting going on, more on LinkedIn, more on our site. And then, you know, every once in a while we'll brag about something and we'll do a press release and, you know, like misapplied or the enhanced mobile app or Sarcos, the exoskeleton. But we're conservative, and we're not putting something out that we don't think is going to be real in a few months' time. We're not trying to do, you know, 2 years out and do a press release today. So that stands us in good stead, I think.
Very good. Rahul, thanks so much for talking to me today. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
No, appreciate it. This was fun.
Great. That's Fast Forward for today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to hear past episodes of Fast Forward, you can find them on PCMag.com, on YouTube, anywhere fine podcasts are given away for free. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you in the future.